This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
Welcome back once again. Our break is over. Now we will be continuing our congress with the presentations of our participants. And I leave the word to Miss Adriana Feska.
Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. May I start?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I will my screen in first place. Share screen. Share screen. Okay, let me see if it's working. Share, okay. Okay. Show video. Okay, first of all, I would like to, I don't know if it's everyone seeing, but first of all, I would like to compliment the organizing committee, the other speakers, and also the people that are watching us from home. This type of event is also very important to allow other researchers to share their work and also bring new teams into the debate. Today, I will be presenting my PhD research. It's still under development. In fact, I just started in September, so what I will be presenting, it's the first stage of what we got so far. So here are some keywords that shows the idea of what we are researching at the moment, which is architecture, the experience of space, mind, art, and emotions. And to understand where we are today, it's also important to understand where we started, where this idea came from, why we are here, and where do we want to go. It is a presentation. We are all going to share the two first topics, which is where we started, where we are, even though it is very important to understand that all the research that we are doing at the moment, it's talking about architectural education and the connection with arts. And in the last topic, of course, we need case study So we are able to collect some data and, of course, create new knowledge into the schools. So we'll start at the starting point. Last year, I presented also in the ENSAD 21 my master thesis, which is called Art Osmosis Manifesto, if you want to take a look, where I studied the relationship between painting and architecture. And the case study was Nadir Afonso, which is on the left side. Here, I'm just showing two images where we can analyze and understand this relationship between architecture and painting. He used to collaborate with Le Corbusier, that's why it appears the Unité d'Habitation. And in the downside of the image too, it's a paint that he developed during that time, so we can see the connection between the colors and the shapes. On the other hand, in the right side, we have another paint that he developed in the last periods of his art, where we can see the magnitude of his painting connected to the atmosphere of the architecture. In the end of this research, we realized that we could think about the architecture by using different artistic tools. Even though I will rephrase this, that the use of various types of representation is enriching. None replaces another. Each one enhances the creative capacity. Whenever we have this in mind, and even though the previous research was focused in painting, it is something that I also practice, and it's my main focus of research. It is very important to understand that there are others, of course. And that's what got us to this point where we have a contamination with architecture and other arts such as sculpture, painting, drawing, photography, music. For example, the architect that I previously rephrased, Álvaro Siza Vieira, he's a very famous architect. He wanted to go to sculpture, but his dad influenced him to go for architecture, even though at the moment he's developing some sculptures. So whenever I got to this point and of the research, realized, okay, this is something that it's much more connected to ourselves. The art, it's a kind of expression of someone to another person, because we all live in community. And whenever we got to this point and whenever we switch creativity to emotions, all of these still make sense. Because everything is still connected. So this took us, in fact, to the questions of research. Can a space influence the emotional state of the inhabitant? What constraints mark this influence? Can art contribute to this influence? How can we teach that at school? At this research, we are only going to see the first one. And that's what took us to where we are, in fact, today. Architecture, art, and emotion. I will rephrase now, Zevi. A plan can be abstractly beautiful on paper. Four facades may seem well studied due to the balance of spaces, releases, and recesses. And the total volume can even be proportioned, and yet the building can be architecturally poor. Inner spaces cannot be perfectly presented in any form, which cannot be known and lived except through direct experience. So whenever we got to this point, of course, we understand that whenever we are talking about architecture, we are not talking, because we reach the point that we are talking about architecture and art and emotion. What does it mean by that? It's that we are not talking about a building itself, a building that it's built, but we are talking about the idea of building. And the idea of building comes from the thoughts, to the tools that we use, to the design of it, and then the construction. So it's all the experience, that it's not only the experience that comes from our living the moment and the space, but also what took the architect until that moment. And whenever we look to this image, it is a really famous architectural building from Zunter, we can see this idea of experience directly the space. Even though whenever we go to the research of his books, he this in mind and going back again to the same image, we do not see a building here, even though we know it is a building, but we can see this experience of being in the building, of feeling the building, of having the emotions in the building. And that's what we want to understand. Of course, all of this, it's been written by architects, and it's very important to understand their work in order so we can update whatever has been done before, but we need to understand what is actually happening inside of our bodies. And having this in mind, it took us the opportunity to do research in neuroscience and also in psychiatrists. And took us to this moment where we have mind, feelings, and consciousness. So we started by studying the work of António Damasio, which is actually a Portuguese neurologist, and he explained this very, very simple, this idea of mind, feelings, and consciousness. And we're just going to give a small brief because, of course, it's only 15 minutes and the research is still under developing. So the mind, it is actually a space where we save a lot of different image in non-stop. And the saving of this image, it's what takes us to the memory and experience the space beyond with the memory, in fact. And actually, there is actually a really an example that can explain this in a much simpler way, which is like sometimes we can have a feeling, we can have a dream about someone that we had never met, and we think that we never saw this person, but in fact, the study says that we have seen this person somewhere, somehow in our life before. So it's actually inside of our memory, and this it also happens with space, with the feelings that we have whenever we are in a space, because it is a sensation that our memory saved and is being reproduced again. So feelings, why do we feel? It is important to understand that feelings and emotion are two different things, even though they exist very close to each other. Emotions are a reflection of something that our body feels, for example, heat, cold, hunger, and so on. And feelings, even though feelings, it's not very simple to explain feelings as it is, because it also, for example, António Damasio, he divides it in two, the primordial feelings and the more complex feelings. But just to give a quick brief, we feel things because we have actually our nervous system connected to our internal organism, and they send message between each other, and that's what allowed us to feel things, even though it might be something more connected to the temperature or something more connected to the space. About the consciousness, it's the last one, but it's what makes everything working together. That's why we have this abstract diagram where it shows the consciousness in the middle, and we have, for example, in the right side, the mind that connects the memory and the image, and on the left side we have the internal organs, the nervous systems, but is the consciousness that connects all of these together. So the first reflection from the first day of the PhD is that the research on this topic is essential because it enables the debate on how the space and how the design of space conditions our emotional state. Through memory, it is possible to invoke forgotten emotional states, remembering spaces, environments, atmospheres that were familiar to us. We go through all these spaces again through memory, and we feel. We remember image and smell we inhabit even though they no longer exist. They exist because we exist, and they are part of us because we live and inhabit other spaces. In the case of the architect, the design of the spaces is a consequence of his academic training, together with the spaces from the past, from his memory. So it is important to understand whenever we are actually designing a space, we have a huge circumstances that influence a lot. And in the university, of course, that also happens because I'm designing something that I can learn from other architects what is the best option to do. But that option, we can never forget that it's based on their own experience and my experience as well. And it's all together. Okay, so here's just a small bibliography. If you want to take a look at a screenshot, whatever, it's just to share this bibliography with you, where we have some architects, Baeza, Cisa, Zevi, and Zutter, that they speak about these, the emotions in the space. We have Damasio, who is a neurologist Portuguese, and also these two authors that they also explain the sensations and the feelings, and Zeki, who is also a neurologist that talks about the art and the brain. And here we have Sousa Dias, which it's actually a fine arts teacher in Portugal that actually explained very well also these emotion and arts and our being. So since I'm presenting this and it's still under development, I would like to give you my email or even my Instagram account, where you could get in touch if there is any information that you think it could be helpful for this research. Thank you everyone for watching it. Yes, for watching this presentation. Hope you like it. Yes.
Thank you so much, but your presentation can't be seen. And our voices can't reach to you.
Okay, I can hear.
If you want, you can repeat your presentation.
Okay. Now?
Yes, right now you can repeat.
Okay. Don't know why this didn't share. Share screen. Share. It's not sharing, correct?
Yes.
I don't understand why it's not sharing. Because here says it is unlock. It is unlock. I have to go over and check. Okay. Okay. Where is it? It's here. No. I'm sorry for this.
Not a problem.
Don't know if there are a lot of people watching. So, here says store privacy. Privacy, okay. Screen. Okay. I think it will work now. I think.
This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
Hello? Hello? Sorry again, it closes whenever I open the privacy of the Chrome. Yes?
I couldn't hear you, sir.
Sorry, I was saying that it closed whenever I opened the privacy of the computer, so I could share, it closed the Google Chrome. That's why it turned off.
Gizli şeyden girdikten dolayı galiba. Sorry, one minute.
Yes.
Miss Adriana, maybe you can try to share your presentation by uploading the document instead of sharing your screen. There is a slides section when you share. Maybe you can add file from there.
Slide sections were in the chat. Because I think I can share now. Slides. Yeah, I see. Slides on your computer. Upload the file. Adriana, open. Yes, and now just double click, no? Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Thanks a lot. Now you received it.
Thank you very much. Yes, I don't know if I should start again, so.
Maybe you can have a quick recap of it, but we have time. It is up to you. Like,
okay.
You are okay to present it from the start. It is up to you.
Okay, I'll just give a quick brief, so if everyone was seeing, just can have an idea what we were talking about. So here is what I was explaining, the architecture, art and emotion, the study that it's still under development, the keywords, the index that I was saying, where we started, where we are, and where we want to go, and the first point, it was what I was trying to explain during these presentations. The starting point where we started, the presentation that I have presented last year in this slide 21, that was the relationship between architecture and painting in the work of Nadir Ildefonso, which is the first image, the two first image, the second and the third one. It was two works that he developed during the time that he was in France, because he collaborated with Le Corbusier, and meanwhile he was developing some paintings. And the right side, it is a painting that he developed in the later years, which is actually where we can see this relationship much closer, because this is actually a city. And here is the conclusion of that research, that we could think about architecture by using different tools, the sentence of Alvarciza that I previously rephrased, the use of various types of representation is enriching. Then it replaces another. Each one enhances the creative capacity. And that it's got to the point that we have a lot of different artistic areas, and there is a contamination between them. In the previous research, where main focus was painting and architecture, even though, and as I said before, this is a research focused on the architectural studies and the connection with art. So it is important to include all different arts, because to allow the students to have different tools to think about architecture. So that's why at this point it is no longer about painting, even though I'm more connected to this art, but it's important to the students to develop their own skills and use their own tools and be able to think about architecture on that way. And that's what took us to the questions of research, where we are only going to try to answer to the first one in this point. And that's where we are at now, architecture, art, and emotion. And here's the sentence of Sevi that I said, that talks about the direct experience of living space, and that it's not only about the building itself and the building that exists, but the experience of living. And we want to take this experience from living actually to the work of the university. So starting from the idea, the questions about the building itself, about the project, and then go to the tools, and then go to the idea of actually designing a building. And here there we have the image that is a Zumthor building, that we cannot see a building, but it explains very well, very clear, this idea of experience directly a space. And here is how he actually explains what is this atmosphere. It is the body of architecture, the materiality, the plasticity, the sound vibration games, the temperature, serenity and seduction, tension between interior and exterior, intimacy, steps, and light. And whenever we go back, we can see everything here, even though it's just a small point of view of a building. It doesn't show everything. So imagine whenever you do a design, having this in mind, what you can actually build. And that, even though we are always taking as an example the work of some architects, but is it important to us to understand, okay, but how does it actually work inside of us? What is happening with us? And that took us to cross different types of knowledge, such as neurologists, and also psychiatrists with architecture. And we took this opportunity to study a little bit more about António Damasio, who is actually a neurologist, a Portuguese neurologist that have done a research focus in these topics, not about architecture, but about emotions and feelings with space and what is actually happening inside of us. And he explained this very clear. And that's what here it's where I was explaining before the image, that the image is a lot of the mind, it's a space where we have a lot of different image in fast speed, and that how actually we have the memory, the feelings, because we feel things, because we have the nervous system literally connected to our internal system, even though there are different types of feelings, and the emotions is another type of things that actually it also influence the feelings itself. That's why it is connected, and that's why I talk about feelings in this case. And then the consciousness that it actually exists. We have all of this because we have consciousness, and still the consciousness exists because we have all of these things that I previously explained: the mind, the memory, the image, the feelings, and so on. And here's the reflections of the first stage of the PhD, where it's actually where we still have a lot to understand about this topic. It's not so easy to explain and across different scientific knowledge. But it's very important to understand that whenever we are doing a project, whenever we are actually designing, and remember, this is always a research focus in the education and universities, it's that we are actually going beyond the building that we are actually doing the project, but it's much more connected to ourselves, to others, because we always live in community. So whenever we are doing that, we must understand there is a circumstance, there are a lot of different things that are going to influence, and this is the subjects that are important to us, that the design of space conditions our emotional state, and it has a really intimacy connection that a lot of times we do not take that in as if it was important. So here is some bibliography that you can take a look if you want to do a research about it. We have some architects that we took as an example. We also have neurologists and psychiatrists that we took as an example for this research. And here is my contact if you have developed any research on this topic, or if you think there is something that might fulfill this research, please don't hesitate in contact me, or if you are looking for any type of collaboration or so on. As I said before, this research is still undergoing. So, I mean, it's 3 to 4 years, we just started, but I think it's very excited to see how is it going until now. And hope everyone liked the presentation. Again, I'm sorry if you couldn't see it before, and hope you like it. Yes.
Thanks a lot for the presentation, and we are sorry for this inconvenience. We are happy to hear from you, and I remember you joined our Congress last year as well. So
yes.
Thanks for your interest in our Congress. And your topic was also a delightful topic. I'm really interested in Peter Zumthor and in his works. So it was good to hear from you once again.
Thank you very much.
I would like to thank you on behalf of this organization.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in our further conferences as well.
Hope so.
Okay. Have a good day, and see you later.
Thank you.
So now we will be giving a 15 minutes break, and then we will be continuing with our further presentations.
Welcome back once again. Our break is over. Now I will leave the word to Eda Uzun and Emre Albayrak.
Everyone. Okay. My name is Eda. I'm fourth year student of engineering, electric and electronical engineering. So today I'm gonna talk about LoRa, but first I would like to start with IoT, which means Internet of Things. Internet of Things, or IoT, is influencing our lifestyle from the way we react to the way we behave. From the air conditioners that you can control with your phone, and from the smartphones, you can provide the shortest route on your car, or smartwatch, which is tracking your daily activities. IoT is a giant network with connected devices. These devices gather and share that data about their use and the environment in which they are operated. With the rapid spread of Internet of Things applications all over the world in the last decade, it has become an important need to transfer data to long distance reliably and with low power consumption. Recently, we have witnessed important developments in communication technologies that can meet these needs. At the forefront of these developments is the emergence of the wireless communication technologies such as LoRa, Sigfox, burada da where you can see here, at the Sigfox, which enable the transmission of data at low bit rates over long distance with low power consumption. LoRa, which is the most important widespread among these technologies, is a modulation technique consisting of the first syllabus of long-range words, providing communication at a much longer distance than competing technologies such as Wi-Fi and wired communication, and using radio frequencies. LoRaWAN, which means LoRa Range Wide Area Network, is a low-power wide area network specification designed for products that operate wirelessly on a regional, national, or global network. If you ask why LoRa, the fact that methods such as cellular communication, 2G, 3G, 4G+, and Wi-Fi, which I currently use to connect objects to internet, cannot fully meet the needs such as long-distance data transmission, or the continuity of this transmission, or incur high cost while meeting these needs, which may eliminate these disadvantages. The distance limitation in Wi-Fi technology, the cost of cellular communication, and high energy use have been identified as the main missing part that should be avoided with LoRa technology. LoRa, which uses regionally different radio frequency ranges, can establish a connection in an open area at a distance can expand up to 15 kilometers, while devices connected at the endpoint can maintain communication from 8 to 15 years without any problem. LoRa modulation. The LoRa physical layer is an open source and supports two-way communication using chirp spread spectrum that we call CSS modulation in unlicensed sub-gigahertz frequency bands. The spectrum is spread that is modulated signal occupies a higher bandwidth than the source signal. The modulation technique has the advantage of making the signal more resistant to noise and interference, but also supports orthogonal separation of signals transmitted on the same channel. And CSS. LoRa is a proprietary spread spectrum modulation scheme that is based on chirp spread spectrum. CSS is a spread spectrum technique that uses wideband linear frequency modulated chirp pulses to encode information. A chirp, often called a sweep signal, is a tone in which the frequency increases, you can see here up chirp, or decreases down chirp with time. And now Emre is going to talk about applications of LoRa.
Uh, Applications, LoRa devices have revolutionized the IoT by enabling data communication over a long range while using very little power. Sensor devices with LoRa chipsets accommodate a wide variety of IoT applications by transmitting packets containing important information when connected to a non-cellular LoRaWAN network. LoRa is the de facto technology for IoT based on its widespread adoption and will be responsible for connecting the next billion IoT devices. LoRa is flexible for rural or indoor use cases in smart agriculture, smart cities, industrial IoT, smart environment, smart homes and buildings, smart utilities and metering, and smart supply chain and logistics. Eda, can you pass the screen? Smart homes, LoRa-based solutions offer the ability to connect these devices to the same platform where legacy system range fell short. Usually, these are battery-powered devices that are far beyond the scope of legacy connection technologies without installing additional repeaters or network points. These applications include garage door locks, outdoor lighting, pet geo-fencing, smart metering, linked press traps, soil chemistry, swimming pools, and more. Secondly, I'm going to talk about COVID-19 support. Uh, the COVID-19 pandemic has confronted the world with unprecedented challenges. Business and government officials are responding by leveraging IoT technologies to balance health and safety concerns with financial concerns, uh, while returning individuals and communities to work. Semtex LoRa devices and LoRaWAN protocol play an instrumental role in helping public safety solutions aid contact tracing, ensuring compliance with the workplace health regulation, and addressing the needs of medical professionals. Discover how LoRa devices provide a better world in the following use cases. Finally, I'm going to talk about smart cities. Smart cities' daily municipal operations are made more efficient with LoRa technology's long range, low power, secure and GPS less geolocation features. Cities can optimize the use of utilities and staff to save time and money by connecting city services such as lighting, parking, waste removal, and more. Our presentation is over. Thank you for listening to us.
Thanks a lot for your presentations. And now I will leave the word to Gökçenur Koçyiğit and Fatih Sulu.
Okay. Do you see the screen? Any problem?
We can see the screen.
Okay. Let's start this. Hello, everyone. We will gonna talk about reconfigurable intelligent surfaces with my partner Gökçenur. They have a contents, introduction, what is this, this SRE relationships and research are our contents. Introduction, IP data traffic is predictable to increase by 55% in next 10 years. However, 50 generations networks do not have enough capacity and hardware to meet this requirement. In addition, there are several drawbacks in the development of 5G that significantly limit efficiency. In the current network design, it's assumed that the wireless environmental is controlled by nature, cannot be changed, and can only be co-presented. However, with the 5th generation, it has been shown that the working on the terminus in the wireless environmental will not be sufficient. The 6th generation is intended to provide a new architectural foundation with high efficiency and low delay, enabling common communication, detection, and localizations. In the old generation, the wireless environmental was acceptable as an uncontrollable element. One of the studies introduced with the 6th generation deals with the programming of the environmental, so it aims to overcome the interference and security problems of the eternal environmental. This approach is also referred to as a smart radio environmental or wireless to highlight the conceptual difference between current and previous design. The purpose of RIS is designed to implement transmission technology in wireless communications. Antennas with a spacing of the half wavelength are used. These antennas are not larger than other antennas, but they are less expensive. This requires much more than LMS than other transmitter relays, but it's more flexible and useful because of the cost and cheaper dimensions. Moreover, it's an accessible software-based architecture that is more comfortable with the SRE concepts. What is this? Walls, buildings, floors. It's an inexpensive thin sheet of composite material that can be programmable and controllable by external covering its part and changing the indecent radio wavelength. The unique feature of RIS is that they can be reconfigurable depending on the environmental in which they are deployable. Different types of RIS are currently being researched and developed. There are detailed classification of these, such as smart surfaces with or without the ability of amplify is the incident radio waves and performing signal processing operations, whether or not their functions can be changed after fabrication and placements. This consists of two phases, control and programming, and normal operations. Control and programming in this phase, the necessary environmental information to configure the RIS operation is expected, and this is configurable for the next operation. Normal operation. In this phase, The RIS is pre-configurable and helps other devices to transmit over the network. Some studies of RIS on RIS, example of RIS, that's all. The RFocus, MIT. The RFocus prototype recently designed by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in the USA, is shown. It consists of 3,260 simple antennas mounted on 6 square meter surfaces. Since its surfaces itself doesn't emit new radio waves, the structures operates almost passive mode, but can be configurable to emit light beams and focus incoming radio waves in specific directions and locations via low power electronic circuits. Another example is NTD Docoma. This is a man-made thin layer of smart glasses containing multiple sub-wavelength elements arranged in a periodic pattern of two-dimensional surfaces coated with a glass substrate. This prototype was manufactured in Japan. The smart glasses is extremely transparent, making it suitable for inconspicuous use. This prototype can be used mainly in the place of require high security, especially. Some concepts used in this are this side. Reference structures, two-dimensional structures, metal surfaces, configuration networks, communication with the outside world, and onboard sensing capabilities. RIS and SRE relations. The wireless environmental has traditionally been modeled as an external entity that cannot be controllable but can be adaptable. Therefore, in the last decade, to improve the performances of wireless networks, for example, multiple antennas have been deployed in the transmitters, powerful transmissions and repetition protocols, and advanced modulation encoding protocols. In the receivers, many advantages techniques, including the modulation and decoding methods, have been proposed. The operational states of wireless environmental depend on the configuration of all RISs deployed in it, which can be optimized together to achieve better performance. Therefore, the block diagrams of SREs lends it as well to a communication model with the stateful channels. The channel whose states are directly generated and controllable by the communication system instead of just being inherently depending. This possibility opens us new opportunities for overcoming some fundamental limitations in the design of existing wireless networks. These possibilities can be described as follows. It has been shown that the channel capacity of wireless communication system can be further improved by optimizing of the transmitter, receivers, and environmental together. It can be improved the network optimizations. The efficiency of the radio waves can increase, and it can be used to simplify wireless access in a multiple antenna systems, which can result in very high capacity density. Okay, Gökçenur, my partner Gökçenur can continue.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about the researches. And first one is, we have 7 researches. First one is physics and electromagnetism. Without a doubt, physics and electromagnetism are the foundation of this activity. And the topics include the metasurface and application of surface electromagnetism, analytical modeling of applied electromagnetism, scattering theory, control of the radio wave reflection transmission, and design of metasurface. And second one, channel modeling. For example, they examine the power scattered from the passive reflectors operating in the millimeter wave frequency band through the experimental measurements and compare the result with the ray tracking simulations. When the result in this example were compared with the previous experiment, it was observed the result overlapped. Third one is can you switch? Yes. Surface-based modulation and the encoding. One of the case studies has examined the bit error probability of RIS. Base spatial modulation, it examines the error probability offered by the shift keying, and spatial modulation schemes using RIS. The result obtained as a result of the study show that the risk-based spectral modulation can provide high data rates with the low error rates. The other case study in which both reflective patterns and transmission signal carry information. Channel examination, new algorithms and protocols are required to perform channel examination in almost passive risk. Compare the most advanced methods. The proposed approach requires less time the frequency, resources the obtained channel information. One case study proposes the low complexity channel information extraction method for risk powered the examination system. Performance evaluation. The next page, please. Performance evaluation. Risks have been studied to show the main performance limits and the impact of the different systems parameters on the equal performance. As an example of the work done, the study are the capacity compression due to the potential hardware failures in the risk powered systems. And the other one, interaction with aircraft. Risks can be remotely conferred by the cellular base station to the constantly direct reflected radio waves to specific drones, increasing the received signal strength, reaches the analyzed signal gain in the drones as a function of the height and the distance of the drone from the base station. And virus-powered transmission, the 6.1. Can you virus-powered transmission? Virus-powered transfer technology can increase the mobility, convenience, and the safety of an electrical devices. Research studies how to maximize through of a public virus network with the two users. The numerical results show that the use of RISC can efficiently improve through the joint transmissions. The last one is the NOMA. NOMA supports greater connectivity, reduce latency, improve the user's fairness and the, spectral efficiency, and increases the reliability compared to vehicle multiple access. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentations. It was a nice presentation. And we would like to see you at our next further congresses. And now I will leave the word to Roa Shine.
Is it clear as a voice and video?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can you just make sure is a presentation shared?
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, right now you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Is the screen shared is clear?
Yes, yes, we can see the screen.
So hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm glad to be here today, and all thanks to organizers and participants from all over the world. Today I'll discuss some algorithms that are important in the field of artificial intelligence. It also play a role in save for us sometimes in money. Out of all the introduction, we will have today two ways of algorithm. The main goal is to find the shortest path between the 2 points at the start point and end points. So let's clarify this with our daily life needs. As we know, the graphs are directly applicable to real world scenarios. For example, we could use graphs to represent a transportation network right here. So where nodes here, which is represent the facilities that send or receive a product, and the edges would represent the routes or the path that connect between them, as it mentioned in the diagram. So the first way to solve this problem statement is called Dijkstra's algorithm. As a fun fact, Dr. Dijkstra designed this algorithm, which is one of the most famous algorithms in the history of computer science, in just 20 minutes. Unbelievable, right? So let's continue. The second way, it's a Floyd world short algorithm. So by starting with the Dijkstra's algorithms here as use cases and their purpose, this algorithm is used in GPS devices to find the shortest path between the current location and the destination. It has a countless application in industry, especially in domains that require the modeling networks. So let's give a look about the technique of the Dextrose algorithm itself. It starts basically at the node that you choose, which is called the source node, and it analyzes the graph to find the shortest path between that node and all other nodes in the graph. These algorithms keep track of the currently known shortest distance from each node. After that, it's connected to the source node. It's updated this value if it's find any other shortest path. And next, which is once the algorithms have found the shortest path between the source node and any other node, that's marked as a visited and added to the path. Finally, it's a process that continue until all the nodes in the graph have been added to the path. This way, we have the path that connected the source node to all other nodes following the shortest path possible to reach each node. After that, having looked for the strengths of the Dextrose algorithm, which is can find the shortest path between the nodes in a graph, and the most important is producing a shortest path tree, which is beneficial for us as analyzing data. And for the weakness point, Dexter's algorithm can only be applied to a graph with a positive weights. This is due to the fact that the weight of the edges must be added during the process in order to find the shortest path. Which is mean if there are many or any negative weights in the graph, then the algorithm will not work properly. And here is an example which is generated by Python. Yeah. which is generated by Python programming language, and its output is right here, value, by using the Dextrose algorithm. So let's take a look about the second algorithm that we're talking about today, which is Floyd Warshall algorithm, or as we say, the Floyd algorithm directly. It's an algorithm for solving the all pairs and find the shortest path in a direction-weighted graph with a positive or negative edge weights, but with no negative cycles. So the question's right here. When Floyd-Warshall algorithms is used? Floyd-Warshall algorithms is best suited for a dense graph specifically, and the reason for that, its a complexity depend only on the number of a vertex in the given graph. So what's the main advantage and strength point of the full Warshall algorithm? It's easy to write the code for this algorithm in a program, and also it's simple to implement. And overmore, it's highlighted all the shortest path pairs in a graph and with a positive and negative edges weights. It's easy to modify the algorithm and use it to reconstruction the path again. And for the disadvantages, it works slower than other algorithms if we compare it to the other algorithms if it's same task. Furthermore, it can find the shortest path only when there is no negative cycles. Last but not least, it doesn't return the details of the path. So, and here is the example generated by Python programming language. With a Floyd Warshall algorithms, and there is the output values. So by doing like a quick comparison between both ways in a main points like about memory complexity. So Dijkstra algorithms use the memory less than the Floyd Warshall algorithm because Floyd use all of the data for the implementation. Dijkstra algorithm is not necessarily using all the data. And at the point of the optimal, Dijkstra have the optimal than a Floyd Warshall algorithm because Dijkstra algorithm use a dynamic data during the implementation itself, but Floyd Warshall is using the static data. So I mean like static data during the implementation too. But when we're talking about the algorithm for finding a single source shortest path, forward are forward algorithms are faster than other. So the conclusion that we have in from this comparison here, as if we want to publish a beneficial technique of algorithms, let's combine the all points of the strengths together from each algorithm to generate a perfect program. So we will take the strength point from the Dextrose algorithm for collecting data and analyzing them and taking the collecting data, analyzing from the Dijkstra. Then by Floyd Warshall strengths, we will take the determination of the best route or path that will help us to generate the most strong and faster pathway. So that was the end of my presentation, and this here is the reference. And thank you all for having me today. And of course, if there is any question, this is my email for any further question. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. It was a really interesting topic, and it was nice to hear from you. So I
Thanks.
hope if there are any questions, they can ask to you via your email. So thanks for sharing it as well. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you in our further congresses too, and hope the best for you in your works.
Thanks.
And now we have Gamze Nur Yazıcı with her topic Home Healthcare App. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Yes, we can.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, it just came.
Okay. Nowadays, the coronavirus has taken a whole world under its influence and make our daily life quite difficult. Especially crowded hospital environments increase this contain. Going to and from hospital can be tiring and difficult if there is no need for an examination or operation directly by the doctor. The purpose of this application is there are patients who have to receive healthcare for a certain period of time due to certain disease. Since it is troublesome and difficult to go to hospital or any health institution every day, this application, where the health worker can come home and serve, provides a lot of convenience. And the functional system requirements of the project are divided into three: for admin, patient, and service provider. Requirements for the patient are it should be able to list and show service provider in the application. They should be able to make an appointment with caregiver and access detailed information. It can also filter. Requirements for care provider are must be able to access and communicate with patient created appointment. Admin requirements, the administrator can access the information of the service providers. It can check the service authorization if necessary. The administrator can see the created appointments. It is a platform where patients can get the service they want by entering the mobile application, and service provider can provide service according to their profession by registering with the diploma or ID. There is a map in the application and it allows them to see the service provider in the area close to our location on the map. The application has filtering feature. It's a feature where they can filter both the service they want to receive and the service provider. The service where they can make an appointment with the person they choose also has a messaging section. A reminder message will be sent when the appointment date approaches. They will be able to add them to their favorites so that they can receive service again from the person they previously received service from. This is allow easier communication. Here there are literature studies related to subject. Ankuta mobile application. Ankuta provides software to manage home care agents. The focus is on non-medical home care for the elderly and the mentally and developmentally disabled. This is another work, care.com. Care.com's home health software is a care finding app for people. It's the common platform of service provider and service buyer. The diagram on the right is a flowchart and belong to the project. Flowcharts are used simply design and documents for workflows and programs. It's a diagram that started with the registration check in the application and ends with creating an appointment and seeing it's by the users. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks a lot for your presentation once again, and hope to see you in our further congresses as well. Right now, we are a bit early in our program, but we have Samet Dündar up next with his presentation. If you are ready, you can present, and then we can have a break.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm screen sharing.
Okay.
Can you see my screen? I can't hear you, Efe. Your microphone is turned off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we couldn't see your screen. Maybe you can try to share it as a document from the slides section in the.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying this. Yeah, I had an error. Your browser has blocked your screen.
I think it happens because of Google Chrome. Is it
The
possible
Firefox.
if you? Yeah, it might be because of your browser. Is it possible if you can share it as a slides, like by uploading the document, PowerPoint or PDF?
Yeah, I had an PowerPoint.
Okay. From share section, there will be an option as slides, and then
Yeah,
you can add file from your computer.
I'm checking again. Yeah, I'm opening. Keynotes not supported. I'm again checking. I'm using macOS. I think macOS blocking this file connection.
Maybe, yes. Is it possible if you can switch to Google Chrome?
Yeah, I'm downloading shortly.
Okay, if you want, we can have a 5 minutes break and then we can continue after 5 minutes.
Okay, see you again.
Okay, see you.
Hello, everyone. Today, I am Samet Dündar, and I am student of computer engineering. Today, I am talk about air car. I am going to talk about my graduation project. I will present my mobile application. I'm starting my screen. And what's my project purpose? My project purpose I had in mind when I started the project, carbon emission and air cleaning. More important day by day. Many company and brand make some difference about products. Cars has big share of the pie. So if we will use electrical cars, carbon emissions has zero to every car. Electrical cars nearly has the zero emission, so we can pass the electrical cars mobile application showing and much more features. And the research we can see at this table carbon dioxide, nitric oxide, and the electrical features and the renewable sites. We can see the gasoline carbon dioxide section in the first area. Electrical features on grid and renewable energy using if we will switch to use electrical features. Absolutely decrease 1% when on the grid at the between gasoline and the renewable sites. If we pass the renewable sites, you can see carbon dioxide and nitric oxide will be zero. LBS is the measurement of these sites. And this section using in the features blue sites composition engine features today's fuel about the gasoline and the diesel features. Green area is the battery electrical features, and the orange side plug-in hybrid features. In the sources table show electrical features could cell internal combustion in the 2040. You can say plug-in hybrid will be Y line straight line. In bottom area orange line. Plug-in hybrid car brands make it's the adoption time. When people see the comfort, it's the hem composition and the diesel sites, you can pass the electrical watts in the move to 2040. And after this section, I talk about my applications technologies. In this application technologies, I use React Native, Firebase, Xcode Simulator, Redux, and MPA package installer. I talk about these technologies and details. I use React Native for the performance for the native platforms and the areas. When I use React Native, use package installer, npm, and the Redux. Redux is the so important for the React Native when the fetching data. You can think about Redux the upgrader. And Xcode Simulator at the macOS side emulator is the I used, for example, the iOS 15, iPhone 13. And again, I say again, npm installer for the all, or for example, npm Redux install all the other integration Firebase and the Xcode simulators. In the my application main page has the 4 different areas, and you can see at the top side authentication, sign out, and the email. I have an again say the 4 screen car informations, bridge prices, electrical stickers, and the electrical cars. Main screen has the actual and the forecast. What is this, the actual and the forecast? My application's main purpose is the carbon dioxide, and we want to show the people's its difference. About the actual, we want to today's upgraded area, and the forecast is the which one. If we show this difference, maybe people will be more information about the carbon footprint and the this actual total size. And my login screen. Login screen is the minimal for the all users login and register this site. I want to code easy login screen for the user friendly and register some screen. When if a user has an email and the password, they can easily register. I had an bottom area air car. So if I use the Firebase database. So what's the Firebase? Because maybe you can see all of time the Firebase and the native language is the lots of time using. Firebase created by the Google and the developing cross-platform database. Firebase has lots of talent and only collect data like authentication, release monitoring, cloud, and the Firestore. I had done using cloud store, authentication, and the monitoring. In this application, I use again say the login screen authentication. Firebase can integrate most of the programming language today's Objective-C, React Native, React, and the front-end languages and the backend sites. Car information screen at this sites all data are the renewable and the upgrading to upgraded sites. I had all known and the by-car engine consumption charge per kilometers. This consumption calculating with the dynamic data. For example, fuel prices and more data. I fetching this data from the, for example, the a brand of the gasoline brand and the currency prices, compact prices, and this input you can see about the car sites number input. Which kilometers can you use if the estimated long site you can input to this top site. When you input to this site, you can see at the, for example, the right emulator screenshot 50 estimated distance. If you enter it this site, these consumptions will be shown by the application. Engines are the most of used and sold engines at these sites. Other screen bridge prices. All users want to see all bridge prices in one page shown. My application about driving and the drivers. So I added this facilitating method so I can more feature in an application. Application other technique sites is the user-friendly site. For example, if you enter the bridge prices, user can pass the electrical vehicles, scooters, and the other sites. Navigation, if I can say again, technical sites, the NPM sites, if you use the specific area navigation, you can enter it, install these packages. And the electrical scooter screen. Today's most of us using the electrical screen, electrical scooters, and the most of these brands. And which one of the more economic, because this will be so popular. We can see all brand one in the screen. For example, you can enter it the any C site or the other sites, you can see 3 brands and the one site. But you never use these brands. Which one is more economic if you want to is surprised at this time? You can use the my application, and if you use electrical scooter, we can pass the electrical scooters to users. We can again decrease the carbon dioxide emission and the footprint. Electric car screen is the so important screen for the our my application. When someone go to short distance or the prices, it will be used by the electrical scooters. If use the electrical car screen, if you again the like an gasoline and the diesel sites, you can estimate it number input at the top side. You can enter it, for example, at the right side 45 estimated sites. You can enter it this side. This price is 61 or half prices about the gasoline sites. If any users enter it this site, he can think that this consumption is very low, and we can the air climate will be cleaning day by day. And this section has the more economic to more performance cars. So users will be find all of these cars. If we can use the this application, maybe users will be entered the electrical cars and the braking the gasoline cars. So we will be live the better worlds and the air climate cleaning. So my presentation enter over at this time. Thank you for the listening.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. It was really exciting, and I think it's an helpful application for many car drivers and for future car drivers.
Yeah.
So there are lots of nice information in it. So once again, thank you, and hope you the best in your upcoming works. And now we will be having a short break, a 15 minutes break, and then later we will be finishing our program with 3 more presentation, and hope to see you in 15 minutes. Hello everyone, we are back once again. So we will be proceeding with the presentation of Umut Ali Coşkun, and his presentation is about shape-based file compression for images. Can you hear us? Your voice is not coming to us. If your problem is still continuing, maybe we can pass to the other presentation, and meanwhile you can try to fix your connection. Okay, so we have Gökberk Ozan up next, and his presentation is going to be about basketball player finder. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You can start your presentation.
Okay, I'm uploading my file.
Okay, thanks.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, it's
okay. Hello, everybody. I am Gökber Kozan. Today I will talk about my project Basketball Player Finder. Abstract. It is an application for the users who want to play basketball together. People using this application will be able to play basketball in an organized way. It is also an application that allows you to quickly access information on sports centers. Introduction. The project enables people with similar goals to organize more quickly, address the requirements of their players, and obtain supports information without wasting time. Summary of my project. On the home screen, there are login part and sign up part. The background of login and sign up part is a basketball logo. Sign up part is used for the one who does not have an account before. Registration is done from sign up part with an email, address, and password. The profile screen is the other module. The names, phone numbers, and email addresses of the players can be seen on this module. The next module of the apps is the location screen. The addresses of sports centers are seen on that screen. There will be a team screen in which players can choose their teams there. Here are source what I used on this application: Android Studio, Java, Firebase, Firebase Authentication, Firestore database. And now I will talk about menus of my project. Firstly, I will talk about register menu. Here we need to use email and password for registering. After registering, we will go to login menu. If we don't have an account, we can create account here. Or if we forget our password, we can take password from there. After login menu, we have main menu in there. In main menu, there are some other menus: location, edit profile, reset password, and logout. When we press edit profile, we go this screen. This screen, we can add our name, surname, and phone numbers. Then we save it. When we press reset password, we can change our password in there. When we press location, we go this menu and we can choose one of these sports centers. After, when we press location, we go team menu and we will choose black or white team. Then we can choose the time when we want to play, then save again. Thank you for listening.
Thanks a lot for your presentation, and we are happy to host your presentation. And now I will go back to Umut Ali Coşkun and to check his connection. If he's back with us, then we can continue with his presentation. I think he's not in our session, so we might give another break to fix his connection issues, and then we will be back.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Hello. Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, let me show my screen.
Okay. Okay, now your screen is also on the screen. Okay.
All right, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
All right, let me start then.
Okay.
Hey everybody, today I'll be talking about this project I made. It's about file compression. But first, let me describe the actual project. I want to make a camera that takes a picture, saves that picture on a computer, and that computer sends to the cloud to store those images. But this project was too simple, in my opinion, so I want to add something else. Before uploading those images to the cloud, I wanted to compress them. But what kind of compression should I make? So I wanted to look at the properties of these pictures. All the pictures I'm going to take are mostly about real pictures, like from camera, not drone. So in those pictures, the colors are mostly similar. They're close together. Let me show an example. For example, in this picture, the sky is mostly the same color. The buildings' walls are mostly the same color as well. Even some natural elements like the mountains on the background or the grass is mostly the same color. Why should I store these pixels individually when I can group them together and then store them like that? Like I said here. But the chance of same color is actually really low. So I need an error margin. An example here, there are 3 different colors, but when I store them together, I only make them into a 1 color. The error margin is going to be really low, so it won't be noticeable. I'm sorry, I skipped too much. Okay. But how will I actually group this together? By using shapes. There'll be a list of shapes on the algorithm itself, not saved on the images. And this algorithm is going to search for those shapes on an image. And then rather than storing the pixels, it's going to store those shapes. But we need to, first of all, set a size of shapes. What size are these shapes going to be? We need 1 minimum for storage size, because some pixel might just be better to store than, for example, size 1 shape. And another one is maximum size, because if I search for 100 to 100 square, it's going to take a lot of time. I need to look for speed as well. So I need a maximum size as well. For a minimum size, I decided to look at the size of these. A pixel takes 1 byte red, green, and blue for a total of 3 bytes. For 1 shape in my algorithm, I need the ID of this shape, what shape it is. I need the 4 bytes for coordinates, because 1 byte is only 256. I need higher than that. So 2 bytes for X and 2 bytes for the Y coordinate, and a 3 byte for the color, same as the pixel. So 1 shape takes 8 bytes in my algorithm, and the shape size doesn't matter. It's always going to be 8 bytes. Now, if you look at that, 8 bytes is approximately 3 pixels, less than 3 pixels wide. So I need pixels shape to be at least 3 pixels wide. Can't be lower than that. What about maximum size? Is 5.5 good, or 10 to 10? Is it too high? I decided to test it. In this image, I looked at it and found actually 2,516 10 to 10 squares with a 1% error margin. That's a lot actually. That's 24.2% of the whole image. But this image is mostly same colors. It's not that noisy. Let's look at another one. This picture is way more noisy than the other one. And I only found 42 10 to 10 squares. That's only 0.5%. That's nothing. So I decided to look at the speeds. Is it worth this amount of pixels, and I found out that in the less noisy image, the first one, if I decided to limit the shape size to 5 to 5, it was actually 2.3 times faster than the 10 to 10 speed. And in the noisy image, it was even higher. It was 2.75% faster than the time. So it was not worth it. I was only reducing the 74,000 bytes into 20,000 bytes on the 10 to 10 one. And since we can represent those 10 to 10 squares with a 5 to 5 squares, it would be 4 times it. So it would reduce those 745,000 bytes into 80,000 bytes. Now, it does seem like a lot, 4 times, but it's actually not, because remember, we are reducing from 754,000 into 80 and 20,000. So there is actually only a 7.5% decrease in the compression size. It's not much. And remember, this is only for the non-noisy image. It's even less on the noisy image. So I decided to cut it for 5 to 5 size. Now, I know the size of the images, shapes, but which shapes should I use? Now, we limit the area to maximum 5.5 and the pixel size to minimum 3. So there are just some shapes I cannot do. So let's look at the shapes. So I decided to search for squares, circles, triangles, right triangles, and lines, and L shapes. In this particular image, I found out that right triangles are really rare for some reason. I think squares and triangles, normal triangles, are taking up the space that the right triangles would be in. So I decided just delete them out of the system. Right, I won't be looking at the right triangles. Yeah, they're very low. You can see the right triangles in this image. These white triangles are the found ones. They're not much. They're a little bit more in this, but still not enough. So I decided to cut them out. And these were the shapes that was left. Squares, circles, triangles, L shapes, and then lines. Now we start with 1% error margin, but that doesn't have to completely fill the whole image. There will be some areas of the image that just don't fit it. But we don't need to limit ourselves to just 1%. We can start from 1% and then go next 2%, 3% until all the shapes are filled. Okay, let's time to test, and it's really blocky. Looks pretty bad. Let's look at the other image. It should be a little better, but it's also really bad. What happened? They're just too blocky. Now, the thing is, the chance of two colors being similar is just too small. So it's not just limiting itself to 1%. Most of the image is going to 10% error margins, and that reduces the colors. And another thing is we are actually reducing green color as well, and human eyes are great at seeing green color. So we can really detect the blockiness. What should we do? So we can change the color space from red, green, blue to luminance, red chrominance, and blue chrominance. This way we can reduce green without actually reducing it that much, because we are not directly touching the green color. And then we can limit the error margin to only 5%. Well, this has consequences because, first of all, the minimum shape size changed. It was 8 byte before, but now we have 3 different shape lists. So we need to time it by 3. Well, we reduced the color from 3 to 1 as well. But when we do the math, it comes to 18 bytes. That's a lot. Now requires 6 pixel byte to be efficient. That's a lot. Well, I found something else. Rather than storing the coordinates, that was 4 bytes before, you can just store the offset from the previous shape. That's only 1 byte. That's a lot low. So when we do the math now, it's only 9 bytes, a single shape. So it was minimum was 3 pixels, now it's 4 pixels. We need to delete some shapes. So I deleted the 3 to 3 shapes from the list. And the other one was we reduced the limited the error margin to 5%, but that means there are going to be some pixels we are not going to save, we are not going to store. What are we going to do about them? What we do is we find those pixels. For example, in this image, there is a lost pixel that wasn't saved. And when we are decompressing the image, we fill those pixels by taking the average of these neighbor pixels. This not only makes it better, but also reduces the size of the image because we are just not saving some pixels. So let's look at the results now. And it's way better. The right size, the right image is the compressed one, and we can see that there are some details lost, for example, in the trees, but it's not that much. And the size is reduced from this 3 megabytes to only 1.2 megabytes. And the other image, the less noisy one, it was also 3 megabytes. It was reduced all the way down to 927 kilobytes. That's pretty good. And also the details aren't lost that much. These are the shape datas. This low-noisy image had a total 425,000 shapes, and these are the shapes. And the less noisy one had 309,000 shapes. There are some low scales, but it just depends on the image, so I didn't change them much. And lastly, we can encode those shapes. I used Huffman encoding for it, and the less noisy image that was 927,000 bytes was reduced all the way down to 585,000 bytes, and noisy 1 million byte was reduced to 847,000 bytes. And the reduction was for the less noisy one all the way down to an 18% of the original size, and for the noisy one it was 27% of the original size. That's, I think, pretty good. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coşkun. That was a delightful presentation. And we would like to see you at our next congresses. And we will have a break again to 4 p.m. See you later. Welcome back once again. Our break is over. Now I will leave the word to Selin Çelik to do her presentation.
Hi, this is Ayuskaya and Selin Çelik. Our project is Taxi Share. Table of the contents. Topics are introduction and motivation, content of the application, problems and issues, solutions, material and methods, after all, resources. Introduction and motivation. My project friend Selin and I think that this project will eliminate many of the problems that people living in big cities face in their daily lives and increase their living standards. We are designing a project that touches on many points, whether it is financially or making people feel safe. There are some codes about transportation. We want transportation as reliable as running water. Travis Kalanick said that, CEO of the Uber, if traffic is congested and or roads are blocked, transportation is slowed and the wheels of economic progress are slowed. Kay Ivey, an American politician, said that.
Content of the application, messaging environment. In the application, a messaging environment will be established between the customer in the taxi and the customer outside. Fare sharing among passengers. Whoever travels how far will pay for it. The fee can be shared even among 4 people. For example, a customer who has to travel alone at night will be able to choose a person waiting for a taxi in her immediate vicinity and go together to the place she or he wants to go, and they will split the money. You can see an example here. Selin and Mehmet, the drivers, started to travel together. Aysu, who learned from the application that Selin will go on the same road as her, makes a request to travel together with Selin. After taking Aysu, the journey ends at their destination. The payment method is as follows. Selin will pay half of the way they go with the Aysu, although she will pay the way until she gets the Aysu. Aysu, on the other hand, will pay half of the way from the moment she gets in the car to the finish. Extra passengers can be taken in the full taxis depending on the permission of the first passenger, of course, as much as the seat capacity of the taxi. Reliable and quality travel. In order for people to trust each other, it is envisaged that both the driver and the passengers will score each other, and the driver will be able to rate the passenger as an extra. If the customer or driver gets a score below 2 stars 2 times, they will be warned. If they get one lower score, they will not be able to use this application for a while.
Extra attention, safe journey of our pets. Taxis that will transport animals will be in a different category than taxis that transport people. Drivers who can work in this category will have at least 4 points or more. Taxi drivers who have received negative feedback will not be able to work in this category. Animal owners will be able to follow live location with the camera system. There is an animation how the application works.
One minute. Personal problems for passengers, difficult to find a taxi, financial inabilities, difficulty traveling alone at night, especially for women, difficulties with carrying a pet, drivers victimizing passengers by not picking up passengers, distrust of city people to each other. In terms of taxi drivers, difficulty of passengers for various reasons, financial inabilities.
General problems, avoiding public transport and turning to private vehicles due to the world epidemic, congestion in Istanbul traffic and loss of time experienced by individuals accordingly, taxi hypertension which is frequently experienced in Istanbul and is a subject of the news, political debates, problems finding parking space, air and noise pollution in Istanbul, or responsibilities about our pets, street animals.
This is the noise pollution of Istanbul.
Solutions. With the sharing of taxis, the number of vehicles to be trafficked will be reduced, and one of the biggest problems of the megacity traffic jam, noise pollution, air pollution, problems such as not being able to find a place in the parking lot will be solved. With the scoring system, the problem of trust will be reduced. Passengers will be financially relieved as they will share the fare. We will transport animals more comfortably and safely with the taxi option available separately for pets.
Material and methods. We prepared a survey. This questionnaire was filled by about 100 people. The results are like this: genders and the ages. You can see most of the genders are women, and most of the ages are young people. Profession, most of the respondents are students. How often do you use a taxi? Are you having a trouble finding a taxi? Do you feel safe on a taxi ride? Would you like to share your taxi with another passenger? Does traffic density in city life, noise pollution, and air pollution bother you? Most of the answers are yes. Do you have difficulty traveling with your pet? Most of the answers are yes. What do you think about transportation prices? In the survey results, people said they most found it expensive. You can see. What do you think about your pet traveling alone with the drivers to be left at the desired location? In general, they expressed that they have a trust problem. For this, we thought of bringing a scanning system and a live action tracking feature. You can see the answers. Other thoughts and comments.
Thanks for listening.
And these are the resources.
That's all.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was a nice presentation. I hope to see you at our next congresses.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now I will leave the word to do our closing speech to Professor Mert Tolon.
Dear distinguished participants and colleagues, I am very honored and delighted to deliver the concluding remarks on the first day of Maltepe University International Student Congress at ENSAD sessions. As it is known due to the pandemic conditions, Congress is held on the online platform. However, thanks to this situation, we had the chance to present our team, which is Thinking Sustainable Design and Engineering, as online to many viewers on YouTube platform and to create a permanent archive for especially undergraduate students. On the first day of the Congress, the welcome speech has done by Professor Asaf Varol, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Natural Sciences at Maltepe University. He mentioned that the most important feature of the conference is that the speakers will consist of undergraduate, graduate, and PhD level students, typically affiliated with engineering, architecture, and design programs. After that, the opening speech of ENSAD sessions has done by Rengin Doğa, who is a student at the Department of Naval Design and at Maltepe University, and also served as the president of the organizing committee. The first keynote speaker of the first day is, as we all know, Dr. Rezium Ali Somru. And the main theme of his speech is based on the biosensors, vaccines and their synthesis, optical and electromechanical analysis. As follows, the second keynote speaker of the first day is Professor Ufuk Doğrusöz, who is serving at the Department of Interior Architecture at Nişantaşı University. The main theme of his speech is based on sustainable architecture perspectives. After the lunch break, a total of 10 different studies were presented in under 3 sessions. Studies from different disciplines such as architecture, communication technologies, electrical and electronic engineering, computer engineering, software engineering, and etc. were all presented, and invaluable evaluations were made on sustainable designs and solutions that connect the present and the future. It has been seen that there are applications, algorithms, optimizations, and technologies all developed in these presentation and scientific studies. Tomorrow, in the morning session, Professor Özay Gürtu, who is the Dean of Faculty of Architecture and Design at Maltepe University, will be starting the presentations of the second day by making the opening speech of second day. I would like to thank who made a presentation and participated in the Congress today. And once again, thank you for your attending. Until tomorrow, we wish everyone a great day. Thank you.